Welcome. So in this video, we're going to be answering this question, which says for the function f of x is equal to negative 2x squared plus 2x plus 5, write down the largest restricted domain for f of x so that it is a one-to-one function. Okay, and this is worth 2 marks here. So how are we going to approach this question? Well, what we need to recognize is that the first thing that we need to do is write this in turning point form. And then once we've got it in turning point form, it will enable us to write what the maximal domain will be in order for this to be a one-to-one function. So we have to complete the square. So we are completing the square to get this in turning point form. Complete the square. Okay, so to complete the square, we go f of x. And now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pull out this negative 2x. I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to be left with x squared. Then I'm going to get minus x minus 5 on 2. And then once I've done that, the next thing that I'm going to do is go equals negative 2. Now I'm going to go x squared minus x. Now remember, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the coefficient of this, which is negative 1. I'm going to halve it, which is going to be negative a half. Then I'm going to square it, which is going to be plus 1 on 4. And then I'm going to minus 1 on 4. And then I'm going to put minus 5 on 2 here. Perfect. Then what I can do is I can look at just these first 3 terms. Oops, let's try that again. These first 3 terms. And I can say, hey, that is going to be, now we have to be careful with the brackets here, x minus a half squared. And then I've still got these 2 things at the end, minus 1 on 4, minus 5 on 2. Then close that up. And then I'm going to go equals, whoops, I've got a negative, negative 2 x minus a half squared. I'm going to have to get these to have common denominators, so I'm going to get minus 1 on 4 minus 10 on 4, close. Then this is going to be equals negative 2 x minus a half squared. This will now be negative 11 on 4, close my brackets. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this negative 2 to both of these. So I'm going to get negative 2 x minus a half squared. Now I'm going to get negative 2 times negative 11 on 4. It's going to make it positive. And I'm going to get a 2 instead of a 4 here because we're just cancelling. So now that I've got it in turning point form, so that's what this thing is right here. This is my turning point form. I can now identify what my turning point is. So let's come up here now. What I'm going to say is that my turning point is going to be, now this is negative a half, so it's going to be a half, and then this is 11 on 2. Perfect. Now, why is this helpful? Why is it helpful for me to know, and let me draw a nice arrow here. Why is it helpful for me to know the turning point if I'm trying to figure out the maximal restricted domain for the one-to-one function? Well, the fact that I know that this is my turning point, I can now just give this a little rough sketch. Like this, like this. Now, I know that because I have a negative out the front here, it's going to look something like that. It's going to be upside down. And this point right here, this is going to be a half. Then up here, this will be 11 on 2. Now, if I want to figure out what my maximal domain, or the largest restricted domain for a one-to-one function, remember, in order for it to be a one-to-one function, if I was to draw, and let me get another color here, if I was to draw a horizontal line, it can only touch it once. So in order for that to happen, I could either have this side, or if I was to get another color, I could have this side. I could either have one of those 2 sides if I want to have the largest restricted domain for a one-to-one function. I can't have both. I can either have one or the other. So that means what my answer is going to be is, let me write this down, largest domain for one-to-one function I could have x is greater than or equal to a half. And another way of saying that is, whoops, make sure you have the right brackets. So a half all the way to that. Or what you could say is x is less than or equal to a half. And the other way to say that is negative infinity to a half square bracket there. So either of those could be the correct answer. You could have written it either like this or like that. Make sure that you're including that a half because you're after the largest domain for the one-on-one function, so you have to include that point. And yeah, that's how you would do it. So it's worth 2 marks. So 1 mark for the working, and then 1 mark for your final answer there. Hopefully you found this helpful. I might pause this question here, and then I'll go into part B in the next video. Hopefully you found this helpful in being able to get your head around it all. All right, I'll see you in the next one.